It's the Morning Brew with Elle Dawson and Gillian Robertson. Brought to you by Fight Bananas.
Good morning, people. It is Sunday. It's a Sunday morning brew. I know we were live last night, but there's too much fun stuff to talk about to not do a morning brew this morning. Yours truly, Elle Dawson here, and to my left/right, wherever your screen looks, is Gillian the Savage Robertson, as per usual. How you doing, G?
I'm doing good. Not a bad night of night of fights. Making sure I'm saying that right.
No, not at all. Honestly, the Apex cards have been, in my opinion, delivering pretty solidly lately.
We were talking about it briefly this morning about how there was only 2 fight of the nights given and no performance of the night. And I was like, I felt like there was multiple performances of the night. And these 2 definitely deserve fight of the night. I think you could have thrown the Vallejos and Silva fight up there as well. Because I'm like, that one was an absolute banger too. But I'm like, there was multiple great performances starting with the main event. I'm like, absolutely flawless performance.
I don't disagree. I think if this had been a normal night, we would have seen Tatsuro Taira get that performance of the night bonus. I feel like the reason they did this is just looking at these 2 fights, because these were by far the best performances overall, but they were both very close fights and they were both absolute bangers. And so I think looking at them, they're like, we feel like these 2 losers on the card deserve bonuses more than, Tatsuro Taira or maybe Neil Magny or these guys who did get finishes. And I don't know that I disagree.
I personally think I would put the Vallejos and Silva fight over the Ribovics fight. I just think that one was a little bit more back and forth for me.
Okay. Where
I felt like the Ribovics fight was a little bit more one-sided.
That's fair.
Where I'm like
Elvis Brenner had his moments, but I do think 30-27 is a very reasonable scorecard for that fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, not to take anything away from Brenner because he is tough as shit. I just think that Silva was in the fight a little bit more than Brenner was, which made it more of a fight of the night for me.
I can respect that. I wouldn't have been mad if they did 3. I don't think they would do that for an Apex card, but to be honest, I feel like with just how the card played out, I'm looking at people that I wasn't super excited about watching fight before, and now I'm really looking forward to them. And I feel like Danny Silva is that guy. I kind of look back. He's had like some split decisions. Both of his wins are split decisions to guys who haven't like done super well in the UFC, but he's just so fun to watch. Like I just enjoy it so much. This style, the swagger, the hands down, this fearlessness. And also all the Argentinian guys are just crazy, by the way. Like Vallejos fights just this ridiculous pressure, no regard for his own safety. And you see the exact same thing out of Esteban Ribovic and Francisco Prado. So I feel like that must be an Argentinian skill.
Yeah, there's definitely something in the water over there. I'm like, I definitely agree with you. Danny Silva is someone who I've never really recognized before. I guess I've never remembered his fights until last night. I was like, wow, he really stood out to me. Where I'm like, he's someone I want to watch in the future now. Where, like you said, just a gamer, just a dog. And what really surprised me about him is his physical speed. Just so fast. I'm like, he just seemed like, I feel like Vallejos was setting things up a little bit better, so he's able to get him off balance a little bit more and find his openings. But the physical speed of Danny Silva was just something impressive to watch.
No, I don't disagree at all. I feel like there's like a fluidity to his striking. It's very smooth and sharp at the same time. Like when he's landing on the end of his punches, there's the sharpness, but there's this fluidity with his footwork and his movement and the way he moves his head. Like to be able to fight in the pocket like that with your hands down and still manage to not get anything landed on you super, super clean is really impressive to me.
And he really brought it back in the third round, like pointing on the floor, like talking shit. in Vallejo's face the whole time. I'm like, I just wish I could have seen that more of that throughout the fight, you know? I'm like, you obviously had it in you in the third. Start pushing the pace a little bit earlier.
I think it's so funny we're sitting here just talking about the guy that lost that fight, because he is such a, I feel like that style and just that attitude is such an asset in the UFC. And I think guys like that, they can have longer careers without winning records necessarily in the UFC, because they bring that excitement and fans just want to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're typically the I always call them the 50K fighters. Like
Right.
fighters that they don't have the best records, but you know that every time they go in there that you're like, oh, that might be a 50K fight.
100%. And that's kind of, I feel like that's going to be Danny Silva. I really like him. And then I was like, man, this kid's a stud. Why haven't I heard about him before? And then I kind of looked back and I was like, okay, so split decision wins over Lucas Almeida, who is 2-3 in the promotion. And then split decision win over Josh Kulabau, who is 3-4 in the promotion. So it's like, okay, maybe he's not going to win all of his fights, but I just really enjoy watching it. Yeah, Ryan's right. Entertainment value is huge. This is an entertainment industry. This is so much different. This sport is so much different than so many other sports where winning isn't the only piece of the entertainment.
No, you can see a guy like Danny Silva get more attention than a guy like Mokaev, who's undefeated, who's just holding on to people, or like those kind of fighters. They don't get it. Like grapplers in general, I feel like we get a lot of hate, but I'm like, people want to see those, like I said, those 50K fights. People want to see people who are just willing to go out there, take risks and bang and stay in somebody's face. So it's like, doesn't necessarily always mean like the cleanest way to the victory is the best thing.
Right. No, that's fair. I think there's a place for both in the UFC. You know, you'll have those guys that I think are just these grinders to the top that just only win, and eventually they get their title shot, and that's their coming out party. While you'll have guys that maybe have less than stellar UFC records, even 50-50 UFC records, but they're so fun that they win 2, lose 1, win 1, lose 1, and they just become fan favorites over time. So there's so many different ways to have a career in the UFC. So many different ways.
Oh yeah, I just feel like we were saying, entertainment value is such a huge part of it. And like whether you're exciting in your fights, you're exciting on the mic, those two are quicker ways to get a title shot. You know, I'm like they're gonna try to keep the I'm blanking on his name right now in the 145 division.
Mosar.
Yeah, they're gonna try to keep a Mosar away from the belt as much as possible. Where if he had a more exciting personality or fighting style, then it's like entertainment value is huge in this sport.
To be honest, I understand there are guys that are boring. For me personally, I haven't watched a Movsar fight and been like, wow, this is so boring. Like, there's not one that comes to mind.
Like I said, I really think it is just grapplers in general. We get a lot of hate. People don't understand like it's a lot easier to look at two people standing on the feet and hitting each other and understand like, oh, they're doing damage or they're setting something up here. Where versus like looking at people on the ground, people aren't very well versed in jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, it's obviously something I've had to deal with a lot in my career. I'm like, I feel like just in general, you have to be looking to do more damage or like finishing all the time as a grappler to really get that. Like you can't just, I don't know, there is no like going in there and banging for a grappler, you know, like just standing and banging and having a tough fight.
No, 100%. That's why the people love you, G. You're always trying to do damage. Like, I think it's funny, like we look back at like the Aljo fight with Mosar. Like that's probably one of the highest level fights in the UFC ever. And it got so much hate. And I remember watching it and I was like, I might have texted you and Dave. And I was like, this fight is amazing. I can't wait to hear all the casual fans hate on it. Like it really is good. And I think it's so funny. Grant and I talk about this all the time. If people don't like grapplers, why isn't kickboxing more popular? Why does nobody watch kickboxing outside of like Eastern Europe and Asia? Like,
yeah, I will never understand that concept. And like, maybe the element of ground and pound makes it more interesting, like being able to finish the fight on the floor still. But I'm like, it's definitely like nobody cares how many submissions you have.
Honestly, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's how to get to the UFC. Step 1, decent MMA, act like Chael Sonnen, fight of the night attitude. Honestly, there's, like we said, there's a lot of ways to have a career in the UFC. Okay, we got to talk about the main event first. Going into this, I think I was so excited to watch Taira and Albazi fight because I wanted to see what would happen. Not because I'm usually excited to watch Amir Albazi fight, because he is a guy that I do think sometimes can be very boring. But I feel like I hyped this up a little bit too much in my mind. I was like, okay, they had to replace him with Park. Kid's a stud. He is very, very talented. However, jumping from Carlos Hernandez to Tatsuro Taira, big gap. And I do, excuse me, I do wish we had gotten to see him fight Usyk, because now I'm very curious, because that fight was supposed to be this coming week. I am very curious if he was ready for the Usyk level, because we know he wasn't ready for the Tatsuro Taira level. So Tatsuro does what he does. Huge power bomb, takes the back. It was a pretty picture perfect performance. And maybe because he cut through him just kind of like butter. Maybe that's why they weren't like, okay, this kid needs a performance of the night bonus. They were like, okay, this guy wasn't ready for a main event spot, which they just needed somebody on short notice. So I hyped this up a little bit in my mind just with the undefeated record. And I did expect Park to put up a little bit more of a fight, I think.
Yeah, it was just fairly one-sided from the beginning. I honestly would have liked to see Taira continue on the feet a little bit more after that first little exchange. I'm like, literally, first 2 right hands he landed, dropped him. I'm like, why not just be like, all right, come back up here. Let's play up here. And obviously, very well-rounded, very capable of handling it on the ground. It seemed very easy down there. I'm like, I just would have liked to see a little bit more. Me just talking about how everybody wants to see more striking. I'm like, I would have just liked to see a little bit more striking in that fight. I'm like, just to see his precision in those right hands. And like I said, it was literally the first 2 you landed, you dropped them. I'm like, I'd be like, come back up, please.
Honestly, yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit more too. And I think the reason why is because we know what Tatsuro can do on the ground. Like, we know what he can do. I am always a little interested to see 2 really good backpacks try to backpack each other, because I think you'll probably agree with this. The better you are on the back, the better your back defense typically is, because you just understand the position so well. And so I'm always a little interested to see if there's like a weird stalemate. And I feel like we also tend to see, if 2 really good strikers fight, we tend to see maybe a little bit more grappling. And if 2 really good grapplers fight, we tend to see maybe a little bit more striking. So I did kind of expect more to play out on the feet.
Oh, yeah. But on the ground, absolutely flawless performance. Just like you said, like butter, just cut through them. Obviously saw that in the first round, went out in the second round, got a quick, clean double leg, like didn't wait 10 seconds, just went out there and shot. And it was just effortless from there.
Yeah. No, 100%. This is a good comment from Colostrum. I wonder how Taira's grappling matchup against Pantoja's. I think even though they both have world-class jiu-jitsu and MMA grappling, I think they have very different styles. Tatsuro is very dangerous, and he's more explosive than Pantoja. I think Pantoja's position overall, though, is so elite. I think it's a little bit better, personally. So I'm always interested to see that. And I think earlier in Tatsuro's career, we definitely saw him like make a couple mistakes. People would reverse him, things like that. And he would always end up back on top and doing what he does. But I think a really explosive grappler sometimes can suffer with a really technical, really tight positional grappler, because if they make a mistake, the positional grappler tends to capitalize on it, is how I kind of see it.
That being said, I'm like, we've got some activity in the 25 division now, you know? I feel like it's been stale for a little while. Now we got Joshua Van, Tatsuro looking good. I'm like, we've got some contenders.
No, 100%.
Exactly. He ain't no Joshua Van, though.
Joshua Van. I'm I'm just so pumped for it right now. I feel like there's these young guys. There was a really good fight earlier in the night too with
I was going to say that. It was the second or third fight on the card.
I'm going to butcher the names, but where I had it pulled up. It was,
Esteban and Boons.
Yeah. Boons.
I don't know.
We're pulling a Dave today. Where is the schedule? There we go. Okay.
But yeah, that was a very like, I felt like it was a wrestler. It was like a wrestler versus jiu-jitsu guy. Like Esteban, very wrestling heavy. Boons, very like throwing up triangles. He had a buggy choke. Like very like jiu-jitsu.
I hate on buggy chokes all the time. Mostly because I have a tiny neck. And I know they're real, but I have a little neck, so nobody can buggy choke me. But I feel like that one actually looked pretty tight. Did you see when I just forgot his name again. When Rafael Esteban like stood up at the end of that round, he like wobbled a little, like he was a little out of it. I do think that choke was pretty tight.
Oh yeah, no. I don't have the body type for a buggy choke, so I haven't bothered. Yeah, you need those long legs, long arms. So I've never like bothered to learn it at this point. I'm like, it's not my thing. It's not going to work for me. And I'm also, I don't know, I'm not trying to go for chokes from my back usually. I'm like, I want to be on top if I'm working. But I'm like, so I don't even know, honestly, like the mechanics behind it of looking at it and be like, oh, he's doing this wrong or he's doing this wrong. But looking at it, I'm like, it looked like it was tight and it looked like Esteban didn't have like enough, I guess, options for defense. Like he looked like he was thinking about doing something that almost looked like he was thinking about tapping, then thinking about like, he was kind of going back and forth and didn't really know how to react. So I was definitely like thinking that was close.
We agree, Colostrum. Gillian without grapple turn. But here's my thing with buggy chokes. I think, you're right. You have to have a very specific body type and they're very low percentage. So the issue is like when we have like a really good rear naked choke grip, like there's ways to tighten it. And I feel like with a buggy choke, it's too easy to create enough space to survive. Like we didn't see Esteban get away in that amount of time, but we saw him, he'd lift him up, he'd move around. There's too many ways to create space, I think, in a buggy choke. And that's why it's so low percentage, especially in MMA. So it's like, it's not that it's not a real choke. It's going to be really hard to hit. And I'm always with you. Anytime you're trying to choke from your back, I always feel like it's better to just, let's get up, let's get on top, let's be in a dominant position.
Yeah. If I'm in bottom side control, I'm probably looking to get to an okay position before I'm trying to buggy choke.
Right. No, I agree. And I guess it's a good last ditch effort too. Like if you're just stuck in bottom half or bottom side, why not go for it, right?
No, it's not a bad option. I'm like, it just wouldn't be one of my first choices.
That is true. How many, because this kid, okay, so he's 14-0 now. He did miss weight. How many weight misses were there? There were a couple.
Remember I noticed one on the Rodolfo Vieira's opponent, Tresean Gore, missed weight by 4 pounds.
Yeah, I think Tresean Gore might be getting cut.
It's so a little behind the scenes. I'm like, when I was fighting Luana Pinheiro, Tresean Gore was on the same card as me. And he was like, we were both like on the last minute trying to make weight, like we had to be there by 11 and it was like 10 minutes till. So we get out, my nutritionist gets me into the car. She's this little, she's fought at 105 before. So my nutritionist is this little tiny girl and she starts like yelling at Tresean to get in the car. She's like, you better get your ass in there. We got to go now. Like screaming at him. And he's obviously this huge man. He's like dying walking in the car. And then as soon as he gets off the scale and makes weight, he comes up to her and he gives her a hug. He's like, I wouldn't have made it without you. Thank you so much. And like, thanks, sir. But she was like screaming at him. It was a hilarious scene.
That's hilarious. I gotta be honest, I kind of thought he won the fight against Vieira. It was very close, and it's not enough to be upset about the decision, but I kind of thought he had it done. Like defending all the takedowns, I feel like he landed cleaner in the first and the second round. I was a little surprised to see it go to Vieira. Close fight though. I will say close fight. But man, this is tough for Tresean Gore. He's in a really tough position because he's had 1, 2, 3, 4 fight cancellations since getting signed to the UFC, including pulling out of the tough finale, which I feel like is a bad one to have to pull out with. And they're all from injury. There's only one of them that was his opponent's fault. I think it was Josh Fremd had to pull out one time when they were scheduled to fight. And now the dude is, where'd it go? 2-4 in the UFC. That's tough with a weight miss. They haven't been very forgiving lately. And honestly, that's already a lot of chances with a lot of pullouts and losses. So that's a tough position to be in, unfortunately. I feel like this is a fickle sport. A fickle sport.
Oh, yeah. And I do disagree with you. I think Rodolfo just seems to be working more to me. That's the only thing where I'm like, Tresean, I feel like he just didn't do enough. He looked too frozen for me the whole fight, where I felt like it just visually appeared like Rodolfo was getting his shot stuff, but he was consistently shooting, consistently throwing, slowed down a little bit. Not as much as we're used to seeing from him. I'm like, usually I was surprised we did, like, usually he gasses pretty bad. I'm like, he kept a fairly decent pace through the first and the second, the third a little bit slowed down, but yeah, I just feel like Tresean wasn't doing enough for me.
You feel like that may have contributed to Rodolfo having more consistent cardio, is just not having to push as hard of a pace?
Yeah, well, not getting hit. Like, you're not like taking your cardio away. You're not getting punched in the stomach. You're not having to defend shots. I'm like, it definitely might make it a little bit easier. But still, I was just impressed by the amount Rodolfo was able to shoot. He shot multiple times, which I'm like, typically that's where you see him get gassed. And like, he takes a couple shots and he's done. Where I'm like, he was consistently able to shoot, like, I want to say at least to the end of the second, maybe some in the third too.
Yeah, he definitely slowed down in the third, but yeah, no, I don't disagree. He definitely was the aggressor. Like I said, it was a close fight. It wasn't enough for me to be upset about the decision by any means. And I would probably have to go back and rewatch it. 4 pounds is a lot of pounds. Yeah, it's not as many pounds for a middleweight as it is for a strawweight, but it's still a lot of pounds. I will agree.
Okay, that anything over 4 is when I understand why people deny fights. Yeah. You know, I'm like, if you're going like 5, 6, 7, then I'm like, okay, I can understand why you said no to that fight for weight. But if it's under 4, I'm like, take the fight.
just do it. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
1 for 14 on takedowns. This is where I think it like maybe skewed me a little bit. Is I feel like depending on how you defend takedowns, it can look really good, or it can look like you're constantly on the defensive, if that makes sense. And I will say this too. I know I'm not sure if they've adopted this rule change yet, or if that's at the end of the year, but like new rule sets for MMA they're not supposed to count defended takedowns as offensive. So that maybe has something to do with it as well, which I
guess that's how I look at it. Yeah. That's why I'm like, Tresean didn't do enough for me. He wasn't doing enough offensively. I saw him defending more than anything else. So I'm like, for me, I'm like, you're not winning a fight if you're just constantly defending.
That's fair. It was a close fight. There were a lot of close fights, honestly. I keep losing my list of the fights. There it is. But there were the first fight of the night was fairly close too.
Oh, yeah, those girls went at it. I feel like Pierre and Caitlin are very similar styles. Pierre is just that little bit better than her. But like technique-wise, they're very, very like in the same like genre.
No, I agree. I feel like Pierre just has a little bit better range control. Like making Caitlin miss a little bit more, getting in to get her takedowns at the right time. Like the timing and the range control, I think, is what kind of set them apart in this fight. But they are very similar.
Yeah, I feel like she was just a step ahead of her.
Yeah. It was a good fight, though. It was really fun to watch. Like
I don't think there was many fights last night that weren't good. Like most of them were fairly entertaining.
Yeah. Oh, Nick Klein, too. That guy was an absolute bulldog for a round and then got completely exhausted and got finished. But That was a fight. That was an amazing fight.
And even I know his opponent took it on short notice as well with Austin Bashi going out there and literally it was the same as Tatsuro in the main event. It just looked effortless. Went out there, took him down clean, got to the back, and finished like easy.
It's crazy to think that kid was 0-1 in the UFC. They gave him a super tough debut. I think he lose to that Hyder Emil guy. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, it was Christian Rodriguez.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought he fought C-Rod. C-Rod, because they give him all the like young up and comers. That's who C-Rod fights.
I know, which is like tough for him, but also tough for these guys too. His gym is 30 minutes from mine. Oh, that's cool. Super talented wrestler. I think he has a future. The kid just looks and sounds so young to me. His voice sounds like a baby voice. And I'm like, this kid's just a baby. What is he doing here? But I mean, he's 23 years old. He's going to have so much time to grow and develop. And I feel like his striking already looked more comfortable than it did in his debut and his Contender Series fight.
Didn't spend a lot of time on his feet, but I felt like he did look more comfortable when he was there. It's crazy to think Bashi and Vallejos both 23 years old. I'm like we were talking about Joshua Van too. I'm like all these kids, literally, like they're children.
It's nuts. It's crazy. And they're going to be the guys that in like 10 years are going to be the people that people are like, oh, I thought he was way older than that. Oh no, he's just been in the UFC since he was in diapers. He's just been here so long. He's going to be ways and guys like that. I can't believe we haven't talked about Rinya yet. What a freaking performance. Rinya
So literally this last week, that exact kick is what Dean and I have been working on. And as he taught it to us, he's like, yeah, we call this move the bitch bringer because it brings the bitch out of everyone. And I'm like, you just saw it. Nathan Fletcher took that kick, took a couple steps back, and then it brought it out of him like, oh, so bad, just folded.
Just the placement. Dude, okay, Rinya is like the most flexible, ridiculous athlete I've ever seen in the gym. Like he'll go in and do these crazy mobility exercises. He has insane hip dexterity. Just his athleticism overall, I feel like is something you can't teach. He is a person I am insanely jealous of. He's super explosive, super athletic, works super hard, love the guy. But just and then to get on the mic and be like, no, I plan to wrestle this fight, and it just kind of happened is just I love the kid. He's awesome. But the placement is just was so exact. The
placement and the fact that I feel like it is a unique thing. Like you don't see it a lot of using the toes in the stump. Like with that roundhouse. A lot of times you see it with the straight kicks, with like the teep kicks or the snap kicks coming out the middle. People are using their toes to get in. But I'm like, whenever you see a roundhouse, typically people are landing shin. But I'm like, when you land those toes in that stomach, it's a different type of pain.
To get that liver just in the exact right spot too, like it's just nasty, absolutely nasty. But it was beautiful. Like you can't ask for a better performance. And I feel like a lot of people were kind of because he was a huge favorite in his debut. He fought Gafarov, who's a really good fighter, and obviously lost his debut. And so I feel like people were looking at Nathan Fletcher as this dangerous striker. And we're kind of like, oh, Rinya shouldn't be this big of a favorite. He was too big of a favorite last time. But I'm super happy for him. What a performance. I don't know if you've seen this video of him circulating. But like they were interviewing him throughout the week. And it was like, what are you going to do after you win? He's like, gamble. And he's like, oh, what games do you like? It's the cutest video. He's just adorable. He's like, oh, roulette, slots, blackjack. It's so cute. And everybody's just circulating the video right now. So I'm sure he's in a casino somewhere.
Well, today. I wish that he had an extra $50K to gamble with because I would have thrown it to him.
That's fair. I think if you were going to do your normal 3 performance of the night bonuses, who would have gotten it?
Definitely Rinya. Let's see. Performance. There was, like I said, I think Vallejos Silva is definitely a fight of the night. I'm debating on Tyro right now because I'm like, he had an easy fight for him. So I'm like, I don't know if that deserves him and Bashi, I feel like it may be up there.
Magny had a great performance.
Magny just, the only thing was, I'm like, he kind of, didn't have a great beginning. It was kind of like he got beat up a little bit and then was able to turn it around. But I'm like, so I'm not a huge fan of the fight of the night of like somebody who gets their ass, like this wasn't that bad, but somebody who gets their ass beat for 2 rounds, then pulls off a submission and they get fight of the night, or like performance of the night. I'm like, was it really though?
So Andre Pulayev is not on your list of performance of the night winners. So maybe there's just 2. Maybe you just give Rania and Tatsuro.
Well, I feel like they usually give like a couple performance of the nights. They haven't been giving fight of the nights as often this year, so I was surprised. 2 fight of the nights and no performance. Just a little switch up.
Yeah, I feel like they're really wanting to make sure that people who get the bonuses deserve it, because it used to just be checking boxes, and then if there's no fight of the night, it's like, should these guys really get an extra $50,000? I understand that. So I'm happy to see them switching up the bonuses more, as long as they're really trying to give it to the people who deserve it. Like that 50 grand for guys like Rumbetsky, Chris, Esteban, and Elvis Brenner. Like that's life-changing money. I remember when Grant got his first bonus, like we like got our first apartment and moved out of the house we were living in that had holes in the wall and roaches. Like it was life-changing money at the time. Oh, I guess you have too. Bashi, you could give a performance of the night bonus too as well.
Yeah, that's not like, but the only thing that with Bashi, I'm like, I put him in the same boat as I put Tatsuro Taira in, where I'm like,
short notice replacement.
Both short notice replacements, and they were kind of like easy fights for them. But to their credit, they made them look easy. It's their fault that it turned out that way. So I'm like, they would be my other 2 that are like runners up. But I definitely 100% think that Rania deserved it.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. Okay, we haven't even talked about this fight yet, which is insane because there's the best fight on the card. 2 ATT teammates who live in the dorms together, mind you, fought each other. And both these guys are like, just, I feel like they are the ultimate examples of just fighters. Like they are both dogs. There was so much blood in this fight. Rumbetsky's eye was for sure swollen shut the whole time. I don't know how nobody noticed that, but I'm so happy they didn't, because I'm so glad we got to see this whole fight play out. But dude, like, I feel like these guys sacrificed years of their life for us yesterday.
You're always curious, the teammates going in, how are they going to fight each other? They're going to be more timid. They're going to do like whatever. They're going to approach it different. These boys didn't wait 10 seconds. Like they were in there scrapping from the beginning. Duncan with crazy, like people don't understand how hard it is to hit an elbow, like those elbows like that at that striking distance. It's just so hard to find them, and was over and over again, just like crashing into him with these huge elbows. It's absolutely beautiful on Duncan's part. But I'm like you said, as Michael Bisping was saying, Rubetzky.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was adding an S in it there. But Rebecki,
Rubetzky. That's right.
It is Ski? Okay, so they were arguing about it on commentary all last night.
Karolina Kovalkiewicz was sitting next to me watching this fight saying it's Rumbetsky. So
okay, so I'm like on commentary, Dom was saying to Bisping the whole time, he's like, where's the S? Is there like, why are you saying Ski?
Have you ever looked at how Joanna Jędrzejczyk's name is spelled? It doesn't look like Jędrzejczyk.
Well, that being said, too, Dom called me Gillian the whole first time he commentated my fight, so maybe we shouldn't be listening to him. But so Rubetzky was walking forward, it wasn't until the end of this third he started taking a couple back steps, and Duncan was able to walk forward a little bit more. But the whole fight was just coming forward like a wrecking ball. It's not enough fouls.
Yes, these guys literally have rooms right next to each other at the ATT dorms. Like, and they've trained together for years. So this was just such a cool story. I feel like both guys they don't care. Like neither of them took this personally. It was just like, yeah, we're business. It's all business. We love to fight. We're just going to put on a crazy performance. For me, this fight, Rumbetsky's overhand terrifying. And his hooks, terrifying. And then the body shots from Chris is what completely changed the entire speed of the fight. Or what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not awake. I haven't had coffee. The momentum. It changed the momentum of the fight. Where just these kicks to the body. And there were a couple times I saw a lot of people in our chat were saying oh, his arm is broken because he kept bringing his arm down to cover his body. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, I think his body is hurt. And he never stopped throwing with that arm. He was launching bombs the whole fight. So I definitely don't think there was anything going on with his arm. I feel like the knees and the kicks to the body just did so much damage from Chris Duncan.
No, and it was all from his backside. Obviously, fighting Southpaw Orthodox, you see that a lot. But he was throwing the kick to the body, the kick to the head, the right hand, and the right elbow, just over and over and over, just landing everything from his backside.
No, and I feel like it just serendipitously happened. We were watching this fight. Robertson has blood pouring out of the middle of his face, his eyes swollen shut, and Chris's face looks pretty perfect. And I feel like Lady Fate was just like, no, this isn't how this should end. And then all of a sudden, Chris gets cuts underneath both eyes and finishes the fight just covered in blood, just to give us a little bit more violence out of this fight.
No, it was a beautiful performance, and like you said, a very much deserved 50K. Both these guys lost a lot of brain cells last night.
100%. They sacrificed years of their lives so we as fans could have an amazing night of fights. I can't wait to see these guys both back at the gym. They typically both leave and go home to their home countries after they fight. And then whenever they're back in camp, they'll come back. So I feel like they're just going to be back training with each other like normal again after this insane war, which is just awesome to me.
Oh, no, I would assume nothing less. Like I said, after the beginning, you could just tell that they both just understood, this is business. It is what it is. Let's have a good fight.
I was going to say, I don't think you've ever had to fight a teammate. I know you fought Mashka, who you trained with, but have you fought somebody you were actively training with at the time?
No, I've never fought, I don't know, somebody who was an active teammate. Mashka was the closest I had, and we trained together for probably 2 or 3 years, and then it was about a year where we hadn't seen each other at all, and then we're able to fight each other. But I'm I don't know. I knew that she was going to try to kill me regardless. I knew that Mashka's when she comes in, she's got one round that's hard. Always. She's coming at you, trying to kill you. So I knew that was going to happen. Probably took the worst damage I've ever had in a fight from her.
Really?
I don't know. Tyler Santos cut me, but I'm I had a huge welt above my eye from taking about 17 elbows from her in the side of my head. But yeah, it's things like that. The 17 elbows you don't get to experience in training, where I'm she's never elbowed me while I've been on a single leg before. I'm because we've always been just training together in the gym, where now in a fight, you're seeing completely different elements that you're just not used to. Same with probably Chris Duncan's elbow.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, that's if they've sparred together, I'm pretty sure he's not throwing that as hard as he can and trying to meet Robertson. And also, like you said, people train different in the gym than they fight. And I feel like Robertson might be one of those guys too, where he just has this, he's good. He's great in the gym, but there's definitely this animal that comes out of him when he fights, where I just feel like the pressure is otherworldly when he just walks forward and doesn't give a shit. And his fight last year with Oralby was my fight of the year. Nothing came close to it for me. That was the best fight of the year.
It's so funny how some people, my coach always says, he's the best fighter in the world is in a gym somewhere. They just can't put it together on the big stage. And it really is true. Some people can be not that great in the gym, then they go out there and they know how to perform. They know how to put it together on the big stage. Or the opposite. You see fighters who are absolute killers in the gym, and they go out on the big stage and absolutely freeze or can't put it together. You wonder, you're looking at them in the gym, you're they're so good. Just how does it not work? But it really is, like you said, some people are just performers.
Yeah, no, some people they're different under the lights, and that is a skill in itself. And it's a skill I don't really think you can teach. But this is a good question. Do fighters bring their own coach when they join ATT? No, not typically. It's a massive gym. Jillian's been there. She was there for many years. I've been there a few years. I don't think people understand how big the gym is. Like there are heavyweights that train on the other side of the wrestling room on Monday mornings that I have never met. I don't know their names. I will probably never know their names. Like it's a huge gym, and there's a very large coaching staff too. Some guys do bring like a pad coach or an additional coach, like especially the guys that live in other countries. Sometimes they still have their like home guys corner them. I think Robertson always has. He didn't just do that because he was fighting Chris. He just prefers to have his Polish coaches in his corner, probably because his English is not his first language. He'd rather have somebody that speaks his language, but he comes in, works with, Mike Brown, Mako, all the same coaches that a lot of us do. And then you kind of build your own team because there is a pretty big coaching staff. Like there's coaches I don't work with. There's coaches that are in my corner, and there's coaches I work with that aren't in my corner. So it's like, it's just a big gym. So I feel like they can get away with it a little bit more. Like I've trained at smaller gyms too. I think it would be really difficult to fight a teammate training at a smaller gym where you have one head coach and the same 3 training partners. I feel like it wouldn't work the same way as it does at ATT, where you have 50, especially at lightweight. At lightweight, there are 30 guys you can train with. There are so many lightweights at ATT. I feel like it's a lot easier to use different training partners, come in at different times and whatnot. So got some Dean Thomas love in the comments. It's basically an MMA prophet.
I can't argue with that. I'm like, I put Dean on a different pedestal than anyone else. I'm like, obviously, like, I literally never played a sport in my life, and he's brought me this far. But I'm like, I think that he's just an absolute, like, I don't know. I don't think anybody looks at the sport of MMA the way he does. I'm like, he's a genius about that.
Dean Thomas love. Yeah, well, he never comes on. We need to have him on. See, Gillian, what do you think of your daughter Pierre performance last night? We did talk about it earlier, but we were both pretty impressed with Pierre Rodriguez, I think.
Yeah, I think she fought to the best of her ability, I'm like, she looked good.
It's the most underhanded comment from Gillian ever. She's like, she did okay. It was all right.
I'm like, I think she's better than Caitlin. I think she went out there and fought better. And I'm like, but I don't know. It's hard for me to compliment any girls at the 115 division.
Gillian just thinks that, or Gillian knows that she's just better than all of them. So naturally. This was honestly a pretty solid fight. I feel like there was a month or so earlier this year where the female fights were just not delivering. And lately, I feel like they've been pretty solid, which always makes me happy. I feel like we broke down UFC Vegas 108 in 40 minutes, which is very unusual for us. We usually talk way too long, but that actually leaves us some time to talk about PFL. So obviously the star of the show on Friday was Thad Jean. Really beautiful performance against a really good wrestler and a veteran, a former Bellator champion, a guy that had a really close fight with Yaroslav, who I widely consider the unsung hero of the welterweight division. I think that dude is so world class. And Logan Storley had a really close fight with him when they were in Bellator together. So I feel like I keep saying this about Thad Jean, but I just think it's so funny that he was supposed to be an alternate in this tournament, and nobody had recognized yet the talent that Thad Jean had. And he was just like, all right, I'll just go out and knock everybody out. And then, it's a big step up with Jason Jackson. No, I can handle that. Oh, it's a big step up with Logan Storley. No, I can handle that. And I'm just so impressed with him. And I feel like the PFL maybe missed out on promoting him a little bit earlier and recognizing the star quality that this kid has, because he also has a great personality. He's great on the mic. He's fun to watch. So
I was going to say that. Like, he's such a sweet kid too. Like, he just seems like such a nice guy. Like, I've never met him personally, but just from interviews I see or things like that, I'm like, he just seems like a really like genuinely nice guy as well. But so ready for these opportunities. A gamer showing up against, you said, Jason Jackson, Logan Storley, and just really looked prepared in there. Dean was telling me last week, he's like, he reminds me of Jamal Hill. I'm like, I can kind of see that a little bit.
Sharper, more technical.
Yeah. Like, I could see a little bit, but the way he was able to handle Storley's wrestling, I thought was like just looked over prepared for it. He was just ready to stuff the shots and also just execute strikes on the breakoffs too. So he was always doing damage. And even I want to say it was in the third round, he dropped him.
Yeah. And I feel like Storley's one of these guys too, where there's a lot of danger in just letting him get his hands blocked, because even if he can't keep you down, he's like Mozart. They ride so well, and they can chew up so much clock time just being stuck to you. And I feel like Thad just made the right decisions. Was sharp, like kept everything so long when they were on the feet, and it looked beautiful. We kind of talked about this off air a little bit. You'd said like, he slowed down a little bit at the end, which 25 minutes, long time to fight. First time fighting 25 minutes. I wonder, like, I'm curious with the scoring, because a lot of people were like, oh, Thad Gene won 5-0, which I've seen people in the comments say as well. Some people are like 4-1. Obviously, most of the judges agreed that if you're going to give Storley a round, it was round 5. And then one judge gave Storley rounds 4 and 5. So I'm very curious how you scored it. And if you were going to give Storley a round, which round would you give it?
If I was to give Storley a round, it would be 5. I do think Thad slowed down a little bit in the 5th, but I still think it's a toss-up of a round for me. I'm like, it's not one that was clearly Storley or clearly Thad. I think that I would give him I would give Storley the 5th round. First 4, I think, were pretty solidly Thad. But I'm like, the 5th one was the only one that was a little bit of a toss-up for me. So it was either 4-1 or 5-0.
Yeah, and a beautiful performance overall. Hopefully we'll get to talk to him soon. We've done some stuff with Thad in the past, and you were right, he is an absolute sweetheart. He is the nicest guy. We love Thad Gene here. But I'm super pumped for him. Like, I feel like this is PFL's opportunity to have some more homegrown talent. Like they've had Dakota, obviously, who has never fought in another major promotion besides PFL. And so she really is their kind of golden goose. And I really think they need somebody like that in one of the men's divisions to be able to really push the future of PFL forward. And Thad Gene is that guy. Like, to me, he is that guy. He's still very young. How old is Thad?
I think he's 27, I want to say.
So still tons of time to just build and grow. He's only 11-0. Like, that's only 11 professional fights. This kid has so much time, and he's fighting guys that have over 20 professional fights, like, and winning. So I'm just super excited to see what they'll do with him next. And I feel like the 85 division has been really interesting over there. Super pumped for that. The finals for that, Fabian Edwards and Dalton Roster are going to be here in Hollywood, which we may have some really fun things coming your way for that week. More to be announced soon. But PFL had some highs for me, and it had some lows. And the lows for me may have just been the state commission and their selection of referees for PFL on Friday night. There were some very interesting calls. I don't know. I'm not sure if you said you didn't watch the co-main event, right?
No, I didn't get a chance to see that one, no.
So if you guys watched it in the comment section, please let me know what you thought about this. And I want to know just generally your thoughts on this more generic question. But there were lots of stand-ups, which is weird too, because the referee, they said, was a jiu-jitsu guy. So I was like, strange. But I felt like Movlead dominated. Took him down, was beating him up. Yeah, there wasn't blood squirting everywhere from the ground and pound, but he was fairly active on the ground. And the ref was constantly, warning them for activity, both the bottom guy and the top guy, which is unusual, I think, warning them for activity. And then to see Jesus Pinedo just like hug and hope for another stand-up for the rest of the fight was just disappointing to me, especially when he had gotten back to his feet successfully a handful of times throughout the fight and even hurt Movlead and could have finished the fight. I feel like Jesus really did himself a disservice trying to just get stand-ups. And I don't think that's I don't think that's a good or a viable game plan for a fighter. That shouldn't be how you get up off your back. But also, what are your thoughts on stand-ups in general? Personally, I don't like them. I think you should have to get up.
I think it's I don't know. I understand the reason for them. Because like, as we were talking about earlier in the show, people don't want to see grapplers a lot of times. People don't want to see people just like hugging each other or holding or controlling, or people don't understand it necessarily a lot of times. So it's like, unless somebody is working, really, I can understand like for activity and for entertainment purposes why they do it. But as a fighter, it's your responsibility to get your back off the cage or get your back off the mat, period. I don't in a fighting purpose, I don't think you should have them. I don't know. I think that it is your job as the bottom fighter. Like if I can just sit on top of you and hold you, then it's like, I don't know, have better defense, work to get up, do something on bottom. I don't know. I'm very conflicted on it because I understand it for entertainment purposes, but for technical purposes, you got to know better. You got to be able to get yourself either like get your back off the cage or get your butt off the mat.
100%. And I think this is kind of our answer to this question, SG, is like, this is on the defensive fighter. Why are we blaming the offense? Because a lot of times too, the stalling is not coming from the offensive fighter. It's coming from the defensive fighter because they don't have good defense. We've seen that a lot. Like locking somebody down on top of you. And if we take this scenario and we put it out in a real life fight, like a fight to the death, that guy on his back, who would you rather be? Who would you rather be? Who is winning that exchange, you know? And obviously, like, I just feel like it's a very dominant position. And people who have never been smothered by somebody for 15 minutes do not understand how dominating it feels. And I think that's part of the issue with grappling. But I would also implore you, how come when we there's a really boring striking fight and nobody's throwing, how come we don't put them on the mat? Like, why didn't we put Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou in guard and see what happens? Like,
I get, I don't know. I guess I was going to say, to argue that, I guess they do kind of give them warnings sometimes. Like, if there isn't an activity, sometimes you can hear the ref be like, come on, guys, I need more. But it's like, what is he going to do? Like, I don't take a point for an activity or something, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe that needs to be, do that. Like, do that. And it was like, you almost saw, and I'm not saying there aren't fights where maybe a stand-up was the right call, but this fight was not it. Mosley was super active. Like, yes, there were maybe like 10-second increments where he's in the guard and Jesus is just trying to hug him and he has to, maybe strip an arm so he can land another strike. But yeah, this was I agree with you here, eh? Like, I've never really seen that. Like, hey guys, like both of you guys need more action. And it was immediate too. Like, as soon as Mosley got to the mat and got into guard and Jesus locked his guard, he was like, action. And it's like, guys, fighting is hard. And when the guy on bottom is just hugging you and holding tight to you, it's incredibly hard to pass and move and progress the fight. And honestly, Mosley handled it like a G. There was one point they stood him up and he was like, oh, okay, screw you guys. And just dropped Jesus Pinedo with this in the first punch he threw and got right back on top. And so it's like, I didn't agree with the standard of reffing in that moment. And I definitely wasn't a fan of the standard of reffing earlier in the evening either. I don't know if you guys saw the Nathan Kelly fight, but like, as a referee, when you're in a guillotine, when you're in an arm in guillotine, which arm are you going to tap with, Gillian? Probably not the arm that's in the choke, right? So which side should you as a referee be standing on?
Yeah, I was watching that fight and I was just like, oh, she's just going to let this guy die. Oh, I'm like, we're going to watch the first MMA death right now. I was like, that was my commentary because I'm like, this isn't like, what is she doing? I'm like, that dude's been, from the second they hit the floor, he was out. He was like out. Like he tapped, went out, and then stayed in the choke for a good 10 seconds after. I was like, what am I watching right now?
Longer than that, to be honest. It felt like more like 30, which is so dangerous. Every second counts in that moment. And you could tell because he was out on the mat for minutes afterwards. Like,
she was sitting there like screaming at him. She's like, I need you to tell me if you're okay. I'm like, dude's in a guillotine. He can't talk right now. He's a little busy.
And then the power trip that she went on during, we had another teammate fight that night, Hussein, during their fight was just crazy. Like she was stopping them like every 10 seconds and like getting in their faces. And she's like he's throwing normal elbows from his back. And she's like, top of the head or back of the head. It's like, how does this get to the back of the head? Is it even possible?
She just wanted to be a part of something.
Like, what?
Yeah, like she just wanted to be a part of it. She wanted to have like I my first text to you was like, I just felt like she kept on yelling at people. She seemed very aggressive in yelling at them. I'm like,
got yelled at after Nathan Kelly almost died, and she decided she was gonna take her job seriously after that. But I just the disappointment. I was like, man, this lady's out here making us all look bad right now.
Oh yeah.
But my big thing is the guillotine. Like, you as a referee should know what side you need to be on to be able to see. Like, that should be normal awareness for a referee. You should know where you need to stand to be able to see the action, to be able to see the tap. Like, this is why refs need to train.
Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. It's just you feel like that she just doesn't understand jiu-jitsu seeing something like that, you know, where I'm like, I feel like a lot of refs don't necessarily.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And that's why guys like Jason Herzog are so good.
I was going to bring up Herzog too. I'm like, Herzog's my absolute favorite. And like, even when I say like with that lady was yelling, I'm like, you hear Herzog talking a fight? He's the most calming voice in the octagon every single time.
Well, and I feel like the only time you should be yelling is if a fighter ignores the command or like you think they don't hear you. Like, that shouldn't be your immediate response. Like,
I know,
a sense of calm within the cage.
If I was like in that position getting yelled at by her, I think I might just be like distracted, like, oh, aggressive. Like,
no, and just stopping them and I don't know. She stopped them a couple times and it was just bizarre. It was bizarre. I feel like I have beef with like half the commissions in New England. I don't like the Mohegan Sun Commission because they hate wrestlers. I don't like this commission now because, well, this was, this was New England too. This was Atlantic City, which that's the weird thing too. Is like Atlantic City is a fighting city and has always been a fighting city, right? So she's never officiated outside of New Jersey, and I can see why. I've never seen her before either, but yeah, this was not great. Just reffing all around throughout the night was very odd for me. The only fights where there were no weird ref calls was the ones Keith Peterson did.
Yeah, I think that I can't even remember his name, but like the one who's ref the main event as well. He did well. He's one of the.
Chris Taglioni. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was the guy. I'm like, he looks like little Brock Lesnar. He's a really tiny blonde guy who's jacked. He was doing the main event. I'm like,
I know who you're talking about. Why can't I think of his name?
But like I feel like he does a good job as well.
Atlantic City is not New England. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know geology. Just kidding. I don't know geography, guys. I like Herzog too. You look at performance. It's a very ugly picture. I don't even know what does this even mean? It's performance against the betting lines? You're saying Herzog's cheating? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think Herzog stops fights when they should be stopped.
Nah, he's been fixing fights the whole time.
Apparently Herzog is setting everybody up. Gary Copeland, thank you.
There we go. Yeah.
Could neither of us think of him. Yes, he's hard to forget, honestly. He does kind of look like a mini Brock Lesnar. But anywho. Oh, there was one other thing. Oh, there was a crazy cut. Did you see that cut on PFL?
Right above the eye.
That's like the worst way to get cut in MMA.
No, and it was like during that fight, it was kind of in like weird positions the whole time. You couldn't even tell who was bleeding because it was like on the ground. They were like all wrapped up with each other. You just saw a lot of blood. I was like, is he bleeding? Is he bleeding? Like, where's that cut coming from? And the second he stood up and I saw it, I was like, oh, they're stopping this. There's no way they're not stopping this.
And he's such a nice kid. I love Nick Mack. He's really good. Great guy, tough fighter. I think the fight was trending towards him at that point, which is such a bummer. But hey, like if you can do damage like that and get a fight stopped, like that's a skill in and of itself.
Oh yeah, and it's like that wasn't like an arguable stoppage. I'm like the placement of that cut, the size of it, that was just disgusting.
It was the right call. I was like, that sucks. That's literally the word. It was his whole eyebrow. It's like he had another eyebrow underneath his. Ugh. All right, before we bounce, I guess we'll do a little mini preview because it's only been an hour. We've been very reasonable with our time today. I'm proud of us. I'm proud of me and Gillian for not rambling on about one specific fight for 45 minutes. I'm so pumped for next week's main event. I love Anthony Hernandez. I'm such a fluffy fan, and I feel like Dolidze is always game. He has dangerous grappling. He is a goer on the feet, even though he gets exhausted. He still is in the fight. And I don't know. I feel like this is going to be Fluffy's coming out party. I feel like Anthony Hernandez has just been on a tear. He's such a cardio monster. He has the grappling to hang with Dolidze. And I feel like Dolidze is just like so many before him, is just going to crack under this Anthony Hernandez pressure. So I'm super excited to see him keep moving up the ranks. Do you have a pick in this main event? Do you agree?
I am a huge fan of how Hernandez has been looking lately. I feel like his last, I want to say 2 or 3 fights, he's really just started putting MMA together very well, where he's mixing striking, wrestling, it's just kind of a dirty fight, honestly. He's putting it all together, just making it almost like Marab-esque, where I'm he's shooting, coming back up to the strikes, grappling. He's probably a little bit better, more well-versed on the jiu-jitsu than a Marab, but just the aspect of he's just so willing to he's not committed to anything. He's not committed to the takedown. He's willing to let go and strike, or just always looking for the next opportunity to do damage. So I'm really a huge fan of Anthony Hernandez in this. That being said, Dolidze's a killer. I feel like he's always looking for the finish. I don't know. I think that Hernandez will be able to handle his grappling a little bit too much and just be it's so hard to handle that ugly fight, that just constant pressure of somebody wrestling you, striking you, back to wrestling, back to striking, and just that grind. I feel like he's really going to be able to push him with that.
Yeah, I agree Dolidze is dangerous. I just feel like Anthony Hernandez is a aggressive wet blanket to these guys. And I think Dolidze historically tends to slow down. And I worry about that when you're fighting a guy like Anthony Hernandez. So my money is on Fluffy, but I'm overall just super excited to watch the fight. I know we're not going to get Steve Erceg versus Park, obviously, because Park got moved to this last week's main event. So now we have Steve and Ode Osborne, which I almost feel like is a very similar story to what we just saw, where a guy makes a big jump because they need somebody that can make weight on short notice.
No, I 1,000% agree with that. But I don't know. Ode looked good his last fight. So I'll throw him a bone for that. I'm maybe we get a different Ode, because I think there was something that changed in him in his last performance where he showed up different, where I'm maybe we can get the new Ode and see something different here. I'm a little bit hopeful in that one.
I'm totally with you. I was a little hopeful about Park, and I'm happy to be optimistic about this fight too. Sorry. Hey, Jake. We appreciate you staying up. Jake stayed up till the wee hours of the morning to watch the fights with us over in London. So, but yes, if you rewind just a little bit, we talked about the stand-ups in PFL and the other very interesting reffing decisions. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Ode has a lot of unteachables as well. He's super explosive. He's a superb athlete. And Erceg, for me, I almost feel like the title shot that Erceg got early in his career, I don't want to say it was a detriment to him, but I think there was a better path for Erceg, if that makes sense. Because once you fight the champ who is dominating everybody and you have a close fight with him, there's no going backwards from that. And I don't think Erceg was necessarily ready for the top of the division, and he just got shoved up there anyway. And so I think he is a more complete fighter than Ode. But Ode's really sharp, and Erceg has been knocked out before. So it's interesting. It's an interesting situation. And I wonder if maybe Ode, the same thing happens to Ode. Ode's been thrust into the upper echelons of this division maybe earlier than he should have been. We'll see how that plays out long term for him,
No, exactly. And I feel like I don't know. With Ursula, I guess like I kind of understand it because at that point the flyweight division was just kind of desperate. Yeah, they needed something up there, so I can understand why they shoved him up there. But it is, I'm like, I always say, I call it like the Darren Till effect because I feel like I saw it with him the worst, where it's like he got shoved up there so fast and then just wasn't able to keep up after that. And he's still an elite level fighter. He just like was kind of shoved into the spotlight too soon, and I feel like that's what we're kind of seeing here a little bit.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And it's unfortunate too, because I do wonder what it would have looked like for Steve Erceg. Maybe he would have had a more Joshua Van-esque rise. And Joshua Van's been up there, is going up pretty quickly as well. But so far, he's passing every test with flying colors. So it's interesting. It's an interesting how that'll play out. I definitely want your thoughts on this, and this will be the last fight we talk about before we go. But women's strawweight, Yasmin Lucindo versus Angela Hill.
No, I think it's a interesting fight. Eisman obviously coming off a loss here. I think she's still just going to be a little bit too much for Angela. I don't know. I think that she just gives me more. I see more ways for Eisman to finish the fight. I don't know. I don't see Angela. I only see Angela being able to get a decision here, and I don't know. I don't see her. I don't see many ways. I don't see the route, I guess, to that. I feel like Eisman's well versed enough on the ground to handle Angela Hill, and on the feet, she's just going to be throwing like power versus Angela being more volume striker. So I don't know. I'm definitely siding with Lucindo in this. I don't know if she does finish it, but I think she does handle Angela well.
I think that's a good assessment. I think Angela Hill's a really difficult fighter to finish. I think consistently that's been the story of her career, is, a lot of, and even like she's good at making fights that shouldn't be closer in a lot of situations. But I tend to side with Yasmin too. I know she didn't look great against Lemos. But I don't really expect Angela Hill to be able to fight her the same way Lemos did.
Yeah, I'm like, Lemos is just a completely different type of body that I'm like a different type of style coming at you, where it's almost similar to her. Honestly, Lemos is like an older version of Lucindo in a way. I feel like she's just like a more veteran version, but they have very similar styles where they're more like power strikers on the feet, kind of like they have a good base on the ground. They're not necessarily like great grapplers, but they're like mid-level. Like it's not like they're incapable once they hit the floor either. And I think that Angela just doesn't pose that same threat that Lemos does.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's it, guys. I think we've wrapped it up. Tuesday, we'll be back for our normal 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern live show. 2 p.m. will be Savage time, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yes.
And then we've got some really fun stuff coming for you guys in the next couple weeks down at PFL Hollywood. So, woo. I think the whole Fight Bananas crew is going to be together, and I think nobody is dieting. How often does that happen?
Yeah, that's a rarity.
It's going to be fun. All right, guys, we love you. Thank you so much for tuning into the watch long last night. If you didn't check it out, you should definitely go back. Carolina joined me here at the house, and we watched the fights together, and she answered lots of questions, and we talked about some murders at the end, which was really fun. So if you like true crime, you should definitely go back and watch that as well, even though we are not a true crime podcast, and it is very apparent from watching that show back. But it was a good time. So go back and watch it. Join us on Tuesday for the show, and we will see you guys later. Love ya.